All right, what's up, guys? I've actually been getting a lot of emails asking me a lot of like basic technical um, airbrush setup and stuff questions. So I figured while I'm doing this final piece of this motorcycle that I've been painting, I could set up and give a quick little rundown. I'm going to be using my iwata-hp-c. I essentially I don't ever change the needles to all these. Everybody's doing change the needle kind of thing, and this is the stock needle. I think it's a 0.3. And I guess where everybody runs into trouble, or some people are running into trouble, is they don't understand like the consistency of the paint mix. And people, you can read a bunch of stuff, and then a lot of guys are like, oh, the consistency of milk and this and that. And what I want you to kind of keep in mind is if you're changing the needle setup like to a thinner needle, I mean that milk consistency, I would say when I use like my VL, that Millennium Pache, to like base out like a big piece, that's about a milk consistency because the needle's so huge. But on these, you can't really run that thick. You get that spitting, and you get all these things happening to build up on the needle. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. I kind of thin it out. I guess kind of like half, like more thinner than it's probably like a 1-to-1 to start, and then I'll thin it as I go if it's still spitting and stuff. So, and then the other thing is I adjust the pressure. So if you have it really thin, you want to bring your pressure down so that you're not like blowing through the paint that you're laying down, because that's where you get the issues where your paint's too thin and you have high pressure, or your paint's too thick and supposedly you need more pressure. But I mean, I kind of don't even look at the gauge. I've done it so long, I kind of just know the sound. And then so that's the big thing about paint mixing. Now, if you're using like automotive paints, I've done this a lot of years basically. I've never had a problem with over thinning. I just use the base like a base colors, right, that just need to be thinned with reducer. So over reducing them has never given me an issue. We're putting it on so thin with these airbrushes that it's not it's never been an issue where I had a problem later after it's cleared or something. So it's just simply adjusting your mix based on what you're doing. So again, Pache, any big airbrush needle size, you can do the consistency of milk. But once you start dropping into the Iwata, the high quality Iwata airbrushes and stuff, you really have to thin it out to get it to flow. All right, so I have this already, and I'm gonna work a little bit on the highlights. So I basically start most of my airbrushing with white. Of course, unless it's over like a really light base, and I kind of plan out how it's gonna look based on the base. So what I'm really doing here is just kind of marking it in and getting like where the major highlight sections will be, and blending it out well, just so by the time you're done you don't really see the base through it. It's kind of cool depending on the color. Like this is Galaxy Gray, House of Color, so very sparkly. The BC, not the FBC, so regular base coat, so it's pretty chunky. It'll actually look cool in certain spots, but historically on this bike, there's like nothing from the base showing through by the time it's done. I'm building up so many different layers and stuff that by the time it's done, you ain't seeing anything underneath there. All right, so essentially that's it. And then let me put out, I'm doing a lot of like a realistic kind of, I wanted it to look like magic on here. That's why the colors are a little funky. If you look at like another video that I did with this bike, you'll actually see like there's like purple and magenta and colors that are definitely not like a fire kind of look. So I'm gonna throw some of those out, and then I just want you to see like what kind of line I'm getting out of this, you know, with it mixed right. And the normal kind of stuff, right? Like the closer you get, the tighter it is, the farther away you get, the more smoky it looks. I guarantee you can see that on the camera. It's like a white over this color just pops like crazy if you're at the right angle. So, every once in a while it'll stick on the tip. Oh, I wanted to talk about, once I looked at it, I have that crown thing, that crown cap. Here, let's look at it. This crown cap, right? I never leave it on. I find that it doesn't get as detailed as I need it to be. The only problem with that is if you drag your needle on the part, you just ruined your needle. So you have to really get used to where you're at when you're not looking at it, right? Because when you're not looking at the needle, you're looking at where the paint's going. Hopefully that's what you're doing. So sometimes you'll actually dig it in and then you just messed up your needle. And I've never had any luck straightening them out. I just end up buying a new needle. So I keep like 20 of them here just in case. I try to maybe I change like 2 or 3 times a year, unless it's a really big job. Then I'll put a new needle in from the start. But essentially, I use this when I'm done and I clean it and I put it away just to protect the needle. That's the only reason why I have this. So you could use this whatever comes stock. To me, it's a waste of money to buy this thing. I think I actually stole it from one of the really high class airbrushes that I bought. And ended up throwing it away because with the automotive paint, it's pointless. Like you're doing like really big pieces, it's pointless to have a needle set up so thin that you can't do what you're trying to do. You can essentially do anything with this airbrush if it's set up right. I'm talking pressure, knowledge, needle setup. You could do anything with this airbrush that you can do with a $600 airbrush. All right. So there, you see my lines. You see it's not spinning. Every once in a while, I'll pull away, and I'll just shoot off to kind of clear off the needle, because with the Pache we used to actually like use our thumbnail and like clean it off, but you can't do that with this needle. You'll bend it all to hell. So I just kind of like shoot it off into the side. Obviously not at your part, right? So yeah, that's the deal. I want to throw in like stuff like this just to kind of get it like kind of smoky and, like I said, magical looking. And it technically doesn't matter. I mean, with this kind of stuff, the freer it looks, the cooler it looks. So there's a big thing. It's like once you get your mixtures down and your comfort level, that's when you can start working on like whatever style that you can come up with, or you can modify what you see other artists do, so that you can actually come up with your own style. Because that's what's really going to set you apart, right? I got guys coming. I mean, you see, I do a lot. If you look at my Instagram and stuff, you see I do a lot of like these skulls, and that's because these guys end up, for some reason, dude, I got a big following with the skull that I do. It's a little different. It's kind of like a morph version, and people really seem to dig it. So, you know, it's kind of cool. Yeah, sometimes I'd like to do other stuff, but you know, you end up having to do what the customer wants, right? So I just keep pushing the limits of my skull, see how more tweaky I can get it and funky. But other than that, that's what it is. You gotta build up your confidence level and your knowledge base enough to know that you can actually end up tweaking it to be a style of yours, right? Obviously, it's cool. You can copy like a H.R. Geiger look or something like that, but in reality, the reason why everybody knows him is because it's his own style. He came up with his own style, and that's the reality of this thing. You have to work on a style that fits. So as long as you have the basic knowledge of how an airbrush works, the paint thing, like I just shared you, which I've never heard anybody tell anybody else, and you know, just knowledge of the tool. How many years you have it in your hand, or the longer essentially you have it in your hand, the better off it is. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna start posting stuff like this because I answer a lot of emails, and it'd be really cool if I can just help more people that maybe some people don't feel like I would answer questions or something. So it'd be pretty cool if I can help more people. All right, so check out the rest of them. Be good.